Alright, this is Bry. I'm over here on the site of a person that's got a snowblower they got me working on. And I wanted to give you a little situation we've got here. Now this is a John Deere, and it's a, I believe it's a X710, okay? As you see it, it's the X710. And we've got the snowblower. This thing is about 5 to 6 years old, okay? Maybe 7 years old, tops. What they're having is having issues with the it was making all kinds of noise. And last winter I come over and the chain was off. Every time I come over, the chain was off. So I wonder why the chain kept jumping. I'm thinking, well, first of all, the keyway was gone. The bolt, the little locking screw was gone. So I'm like, okay, it must have came loose. Put brand new in there. It would work for a little while, and then they'd call me back. Oh, this thing is it's not working right. It was jumping off the chain. So I said, well, it was right towards the end of winter. They got through, we got them, we nursed them through, and then the situation was, I got into it today, and as you see this assembly here, okay, this is where your PTO comes off from the tractor, and this is your big sprocket. There's another little sprocket in there. I'm going to show it to you. But let me show you the situation we've got here. I went over to John Deere today. That sprocket. Now the sprockets had a little bit of wear on them, nothing major, but here's the old chain. Now here's what we got. So this broke off, okay, and you can see what was happening there. It was making a situation that was too loose and jumping around, and it kept hopping off. So that chain right there was, let me give you the part number. Okay, there's the part number. That was for the 47-inch. Believe it or not, I even gave him the data tag on the snowblower, and the lady at John Deere said, she said, we don't need that. That ain't going to work. We just need the actual tractor size, which, thank God I took that. I took that off there. As you see, I put the data tag, okay, and she didn't need that. She needed this. She needed this X710 number on the tractor. Okay, it's really a pretty good setup. You've got, it's all hydraulic. Even the chute's hydraulic. But what I want to do is get into this and show you the situation with this. Now this here is bolted on. There's a couple bolts up top and a couple bolts on the bottom. What you do is you hold this over to put tension on it and tighten it all down. And of course, this is where your keyway would go, okay? And there's your set screw. Now I did some measurements because every time I came here, this was flopping around like back and forth, and it was like loosening up. So I did some measurements. Okay, let me pull this off here and show you. Okay, I did some measurements, and as you see the end of these sprockets right here? Normally, when you buy them, they have that little flat spot like that. Now, these were right to a point. So I took a file and went around and just took the sharp edges off them. And I went and compared it to the new sprockets they had. And they wanted, for both sprockets, they wanted $300, which not a big deal. If you need them, you need them, but they weren't that much different. These ones just had a little bit of a high point on these sprockets teeth. So I went ahead and just took the sharpness off them, made them about a 1/16 of an inch. That's what they are new. So there's the deal there. This sprocket right here, as you can see, has a set screw, okay? And the keyway's what keeps it from, or keeps it actually engaged to the actual auger up front. So there's the new chain. You can see how nice this new chain is. I mean, this thing rolls really nice. It's not loose. Okay, it's really nice. Okay. The other one, when you rolled it around, it would actually stay in like a bent position. You can tell it was worn out. So I pulled all this off. These are set. These little bushings here capture this bearing on this side and on that side, and there's just a little bit of end play there. That's what you want. I actually marked everything before I pulled it off. But here's what I want to show you. From this side right here, which bolts up tight inside the frame here, from this to the edge of the gear, okay, we have exactly 1.5, so 1.5 inches, okay? Now, this here, from the plate to the back of the actual teeth on the bigger gear right here, needs to be exactly 1.5 as well. Well, what I did is I had some phenolic at the house, some hard plastic. I actually went on the lathe and I turned this down. This is exactly a 1/2 inch. because from this top of this surface here, which is a lock bushing for this actual bearing here, from here all the way step down, I did some drop checks, and that's 1 inch exactly. So this shaft, what it does is it gets moving around on there and it loosens everything up. So what we're going to try, and John Deere, if you get on their forums, they have a lot of issues with these, and I'm thinking their repair should be this. It's just a hard spacer, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to try this out. Now that puts that in exact orientation with that other gear. So now there won't be none of this chucking back and forth and working on the chain. So that's the situation there. When we get it all back together, I'll give you an update on it. But that's the engineering of that company right there. And if you know anything about that company, they want you to bring it to their shop, or they can come pick it up and completely put you over the fence line and just spank your ass. But we're not going to do that. We're going to treat people right. We're going to treat them fair. We ain't going to do it at all. And treating people fair in life always comes back to help you out in the end. And I mean, it's one thing if you have to pay John Deere, but it's another thing if you don't. And you know, the situation is in life, you got to think like this. You know, if you may not make a lot of money, okay? It's not about how much money you make all the time. It's about how you recklessly spend your money sometimes. Okay, that can, if you got more going out on foolish things, and not that this is foolish, and if you don't have the knowledge, that's one thing, but you can come out here and attempt this. I got a little toolbox here, okay? I got a little toolbox and a little bit of cleaning supplies and rags, okay? Just try it first. Try to start bringing your skill level up to a par that says, I can do this. And just the parts alone, I mean, you're going to save a couple $300 right here. If they would have got this, they would have sold her the new gear here and a new gear there, and all it needed was a little bit of just dressing up. Now it rolls across there nicely. Wasn't missing teeth. It wasn't all chiseled down to a point. I mean, you couldn't recover it. No, this thing's not that bad. Now the chain you had to have, that was $30. You're at their mercy. But if I asked them on an estimate what they would cost to change all these, and they're talking somewhere in the ballpark of $300 to $400. Okay, so you're almost at $1,000 bill right there. So, not that Cub Cadet, none of them ain't the same, and Kubota, they're going to charge you. My point is, the reason behind this whole situation that I'm trying to explain to you here is that you should be able to try and have the confidence to start building up your confidence and do some of these things. I mean, what are you going to do if things get worse in this country? I don't see them getting any better. I just had a call from a survey, and it was about the New York State governor, okay? And, how do you feel about Kathy Hochul on a scale of 1 to 10? I said, which is the worst end of the scale? She said 0. I said, let's go into the negative range. Okay, they got into, what about Lee Zeldin? Have you heard anything about him? I said, yeah, I heard he's going to be the next governor. Oh, sir, is there anything we could do to convince you about having, this is a survey now, could we convince you to anything that would change your mind on voting for Lee Zeldin? I said, no. I said, Kathy Hochul is the problem in New York State. She has actually did this, she wanted to know what I thought about bail reform. I said, well, actually bail reform was done under the Cuomo agency, but when she got in there, she did nothing to fix it, even though they know there's problems with it. These people are running the streets with no bail, and they're committing crime after crime after crime on the citizens of New York, and she's doing nothing about it. I said, here's my biggest, she wanted to know what my biggest complaint was about Kathy Hochul. And you know what I said to her? I said, the biggest complaint is she looked at 5.5 million people in New York State on the news a couple weeks ago, and she said, get out of my state if you're conservative. Well, no, I told her, no, Kathy Hochul, this isn't your state. This is our state, and we're not running, we're not leaving. We're going to vote you out. Okay? We're going to vote you out because you're a communist, and we're not communists, okay? They take so much money out of our paychecks, and they just hand it off to illegal immigrants. They send it off to Ukraine. Let me just say something. I don't care about Ukraine. I care about Americans and the soldiers that are underneath the bridges and the people that need help in this country. So, at the end of the day, I'm never going to vote for Kathy Hochul, okay? Kathy Hochul, she's for abortion. She's for all these things right up to the 9th month. She's for giving the criminals rights. She's for overtaxation. She's for all these things that we're not. And at the end of the day, they really should take New York City and separate that from the upstate portion, because the upstate people are much different. They think different. Their whole economy is different up here. We hunt, we fish. Okay, she just come up with this new thing now. Kathy Hochul did that. She wants the manufacturers that sell firearms and, to be persecuted by the credit card companies, and then she turned around and she wants them to track you every time you buy a firearm. She's so mad because the Supreme Court slapped her down so hard and told her that New Yorkers do have a right to possess their firearms outside of their homes. You can't restrict them. You can't say what was the reason why you need a firearm. It's a Second Amendment right for a reason. It's no different than telling someone, well, you can't say nothing. That's the First Amendment. Yeah, but you can't say nothing in New York. No, you have a First Amendment right. It's a passive right. And then you have an aggressive right, which is your Second Amendment right, which says the situation is in this country, if they are tyrannical, that's what your Second Amendment's for, people. So here's the other thing they did. Now when stores sell ammunition, she wants them to hide the ammunition somewhere in a different room, box it up and put it away, and then they don't have no form for this. New York State don't, but they want the store owner and the people selling the ammunition to come up with a form that captures your ID, your phone number, your date of birth, your race, okay, your political affiliation. Do you see where this is going? This is 1942 Germany here in New York State. So, yeah, we went from fixing a snowblower to fixing New York State because of Kathy Hochul's problems in New York. But, you know, that's how sometimes the videos go, okay? That's my political rant of the day. So I should call my episode that, Political Rant of the Day, okay? But the whole reason we got there is because when you're trying to work on equipment and you're trying to do things, you want to just take your equipment right down to the store and have them fix it, which you could have under a Donald Trump presidency because you could afford it. But now I'm trying to do a DIY situation so people can see they can try it themselves, because they're not going to have disposable income when you have these people like Joe Biden and them giving all our money to Ukraine, okay, taxing us, printing more money. Pretty soon, and then he sits there on a TV and acts as if you're the dummy. You, the DIYer, are the dummy. And he says, there is no inflation. There is no inflation. Oh, no, we're doing great. No, Joe Biden, we're not doing great, okay? So at the end of the day, we know the difference as DIYers, because that's why we're DIYing, okay? Because we can't afford to just take this out to the shop and get charged $120 an hour shop rate. But that's the situation. We'll get back to the job at hand here. We'll get her completed, and then when we're all done, we'll give you an update on it. But this is the John Deere, the 47-inch quick hitch snowblower. We're going to get her done. We're going to get her done right, because if we ain't doing it right, we ain't doing it, people. All right, this is Brian. I'm over here at somebody else's compound, and we're getting her done.